Spiritual growth and advancement is not measured by distance from sin, but rather by nearness to God. This is a silly thing to say. This is a silly thing what I'm about to say. But have you noticed how you notice the full moon, but you never notice when there's no moon at all? Just yesterday when I was driving to work in the early hours of the morning, I noticed a big, glorious full moon in the early morning night sky. And this full moon was glorious. And as I was driving to work, at several times I found it hard to concentrate on the road because I wanted to look at this beautiful full moon in the early morning night sky, but I was driving to work, so I had something more important, something more serious to do, concentrate on the road. And as I was at a traffic light, when the light was red, that was the only time that I could really look at this beautiful full moon in the night sky. And this is the same with God. Sin and evil are nothing, while God is something. Sin and evil are the absence of God, while God is everything. God truly is something. The full moon truly is something. When the full moon is not there, there's nothing. In the absence of nothing, or should I say, in the absence of something, we are left with nothing. And so, as I opened with the quote that I opened with, spiritual growth and advancement is not measured by distance from sin, but rather by nearness to God. And God is always here with us, but we have been given this wonderful gift of free will. We can choose our own destinies. We can choose the direction in which we go, in which we venture. And God is always with us, even when we choose a life of sin, even when we choose not to do what will truly bring us happiness and joy, everlasting happiness, everlasting joy. God is always with us. And that's why it's so easy for us to return to God, because it is God who is something. Like the full moon, it is God who is truly something. While lack of God is nothing. Sin is a nothing. Sin, in actual fact, is not a choice, but rather to sin is to not do, is to not live our intended purpose. And when we sin, and when sin is prevalent in our lives, we need not fear, but remember that sin is such an issue on this occasion simply because we are not in the company of God. And so it is not how far we are from sin, but rather how close we are to God. And this is the only thing that we are to measure things by. We are to measure things by our company with God. It is not how far we have run away from sin, but how close we find ourselves in the presence of God, our faithful, everlasting Father,